weekly sit-down with local agricultural leaders and businesses. This is Tailgate Conversations. Presented by Pinnaker Chevrolet.
Askinosie Chocolate. Chocolate with a story, but just as important, quality and good taste. We're here at Askinosie Chocolate to meet the man behind it all, Shawn, and learn about his meaningful work.
People ask if I always had this dream of chocolate making, and I really didn't. My wife liked chocolate always.
Dream of chocolate, but not chocolate making.
Yeah. I mean, but it wasn't some lifelong passion. I loved law, and I practiced criminal law specifically for nearly 20 years, and I loved it and loved literally everything about it until I didn't. And the part that came when I really didn't have any alternatives. I finally landed on chocolate, really just kind of by developing a hobby of grilling. Then I started making chocolate desserts. And then I was using chocolate, but I didn't know where it came from, making desserts. And one day I was on my way to a funeral of a distant relative, and that's when the idea came to me to make chocolate from scratch, not knowing what that meant, where it came from. But within 3 months of that idea, I was in the Amazon, learning how farmers influence the flavor of chocolate by how they harvest these cocoa beans. And in many cases, these farmers that I work with, I have over a decade-long relationship with.
So when you started meeting those farmers for the first time and over the last decade, what did you learn?
The farmers are the ones that control the beginning point of flavor. They're the ones that control the harvesting, the growing and harvesting of these beans. And so this means that they have the chance during what we call the post-harvest process, which is fermentation and drying. During that time, they can really control the quality and flavor of the chocolate. And so I go there and I meet with them, and have done this, as I said before, for years, so that I can also have an influence in the post-harvest process and the quality of the chocolate. And you know, this is a foundational principle for us to work with farmers.
Well, this chocolate coming here, these cocoa beans coming here, come with a story, and that's a story that doesn't just end with them on the farms in the Amazon. You've continued that story, and so take us through why that was so important to you.
We find companies like mine that say, wait a minute, we have this commodity from the other side of the world. What can we do to draw the people who enjoy the chocolate closer to the people who are responsible for making that commodity that is used in the product to make it? So that's our job. Our job is to minimize that gap between farmer and consumer. And one of the ways we do that is by telling stories. These are real stories, and because we travel there so frequently, they're straight from me or my daughter directly to people who are interested in buying the chocolate. And this is not just window dressing. This isn't just for a story. It's because we think it makes better chocolate. If I can go take a farmer in remote Tanzania to a bank who had never had a bank account, and I can help them open a bank account, not just so they can have an ATM card, but so I can wire money directly to them, as opposed to a middleman or middlewoman who's going to siphon off profit margin for them. If I can do that, then that's not just a story, that's more money in that farmer's pocket. If I can help a farmer in the Philippines become an exporter, then I'm putting more money in their pocket. Is it a story? Yeah, but it impacts the quality of the chocolate. It's real lives, and it impacts the quality of the chocolate, and it impacts the money in their pocket. I would say of anything that we've looked at so far, I'm most proud of this. I know that it may look a little bit boring because it looks like just a bunch of bags, But to me, it's not boring. And I know it smells a little strong in here. It smells maybe kind of like vinegar, but what it is fermentation and drying. And so these beans are, I've looked at almost all of these beans before they got here. And so to me, the reason I'm so proud of this is because we're one of the only people in the United States that makes chocolate and also is the direct importer of cocoa beans. And I was able to, inspect the beans, make sure that they meet our quality specification, make sure that, the farmers are not using pesticides and chemicals. So this room is kind of where it starts for us. We clean the beans in here, and then we bring the beans from here over to the factory to roast them. And there's a lot of work. I mean, this represents, hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours of work by farmers who really care about what they do. They care about me. I care about them.
Goes back to that relationship.
Yeah, and then, and then it turns into a chocolate bar that hopefully people will enjoy. And I want people to buy the chocolate not because of the story. I want people to buy the chocolate because it tastes good.
How long does it take to get from the roasting to here?
Well,
like,
that's simple. It's just cocoa beans and sugar.
Yeah,
and we make our own
simple.
cocoa butter. There's like a 70-step process.
But it begins with a bean, and the beans what defines the flavor, not you here.
And I think he may have some. Yeah, there's a little bit in here, but you can kind of see. That's a version of what we just tasted in there without the shell. And then it just goes in here. This depositing unit by air pumps 85 grams of chocolate into each cavity. And the reason it's loud is because they're shaking the air out of the chocolate so that there's no air bubbles in the chocolate and it settles in those molds. They inspect the chocolate bars and they package them in this room, and then we ship it all over the country. We sell to about 900 stores around the United States, smaller specialty food stores from New York to Los Angeles and in between. But it's small. I mean, we only have 17 full-time employees.
Well, that was my next question. Is this is your staff. These are the people that you're employing. But the impact and the product you're able to produce is phenomenal. So with just 17 employees, are there goals for growth, or do you like this?
I like it. Small companies can have a big impact. I mean, we, as I said, we pay farmers directly. On average, in the last 14 years, we've paid farmers 55% more than they would have otherwise received. We just surpassed 1.1 million school lunches that we've provided for malnourished children in Tanzania and the Philippines. We've been doing those school lunch programs for years. They're all sustainable, 0 donations. We're doing that, but in addition, as I mentioned before, we have Chocolate University, which is Boyd Elementary School, Pipkin Middle School, again, all with 17 people. One of the things we say here is it's not about the chocolate, it's about the chocolate. It's about the students in our neighborhood here on Commercial Street. It's about the students that we work with in Tanzania and in the Philippines. It's about this preschool. It's about Empowered Girls programs, Enlightened Boys programs. It's about farmers that I know and care about, and they care about me. That's not chocolate, but it is.